Hi. I had some quick games against Zur the Enchanter deck, but I think what's interesting in these games is to see the difference between someone who realizes how important cheap spells and mana acceleration is in the format, and somebody who doesn't. A Zur deck's going to have all the tools to get it done to win any game, but without mana, none of that matters. So I end up winning the dice roll. I'm playing Silver Queen as always, and my opponent unfortunately has to mulligan a few times. And then we go ahead and get started. I keep this hand. It looks great. All I need is a mana, and I've got 4 deep, and it serves 1 up on turn 1. So normally here I would not necessarily brainstorm. I want to wait until the brainstorm has the most impact, but what I'm looking to do is find a shuffling card so that I can choose to scroll rack away anything I don't want and then shuffle it all away. So I go ahead and just brainstorm now. And there's what I have. So looking at that, I decide to put back City of Brass and a Mire on top. So I put the Mire on top even though it looks like I do need mana, because the game plan here is to set up land tax scroll rack. I've got scroll rack and I've got Enlightened Tutor to make that happen. And by setting that up, I'm not going to want to play a third land unless it's a strip mine and is used to kill and which would be sacrificed immediately. The backup plan here is if tax rack doesn't look like it's going to work out, then the backup plan is to Enlightened Tutor for Crucible and go for Strip Crucible. So first I shuffle away the city. Then I get down with Stone, Map, Opal, and I say go. Now I have to be careful not to sack the map because it'll turn Opal off until I'm ready to, but that's okay. In good showing for me, my opponent doesn't have 2 blue up, so I tutor for tax. And the really nice thing about tutoring for tax here is that his best counter for 2 mana, other than negate, is Mana Leak. The most commonly played counter for blue and 1 is Mana Leak. So I go for tax with 3 mana untapped, and it resolves. And because it resolves, I go ahead and play the Power Stone. It's fine if he wants to counter that. But it looks like he was actually holding out for an impulse, so even better. The goal is to sneak a scroll rack into play. With the extra mana from the Power Stone, I can, on his turn, if he plays a second island, I can tax, sack the stone, or pump the stone mana into map, sack it for strip mines, strip away his blue, and then get down with scroll rack. That should be a game win there. On the other hand, if he is able to kill my land tax now, which it appears he will not do, like if he, for example, played Plains Disenchant, then I can adjust accordingly. So first things first, let's tax up. Take the draw phase, make the exact play discussed, clear out the blue mana, coast is clear, down comes rack, and boom, draw 4 cards. I keep humility because humility is pretty important. If a Zur does manage to resolve, that means we'll probably have fought over it, and I can follow up his resolved Zur with my humility. So he does have an O-ring. But take a look at what I was saying earlier. Without the mana rocks, without acceleration, he's forced to just tap out, play 1 spell and say go. Spend 2 mana, play 1 spell and say go. While I, on the other hand, was able to play, activate a map, get a stone, get a scroll rack, and everything else that's been going on. I mean, this is only turn 4. So I, Vampiric Tutor, I thought about getting Quiet Speculation, maybe Ray. Since he's playing Zur, he'll probably have multiple enchantments. Thought about also Mind Twist, but then I realized that I've already Ancestraled. I don't need to worry about tax anymore. Let's just win the game. I've got Strip Block with 2 counterspells backing it up, and I'm going to be able to scroll rack away. I'm going to be able to dig with scroll rack throughout the turns. Plus there's a sack island in here to go with the scroll rack. So this is better. in fact, realizing how good it is, he gives up. Now I'm going to move on to game 2, which I have queued up here. So he gets to go first this time. And at the end of all this, I will bring up the deck list. Sliver Queen, Zur the Enchanter. The thing about Zur that's so awful is Zur, if he attacks, you often lose a game because he just goes and gets Necropotence and then draws, anywhere from, 5 to 30 cards, who knows, and you lose. I mean, that's what happens when somebody has Necropotence out, especially playing blue. So the key to beating Zur is keep Zur off the table, and the key to keeping him off the table is almost always mana destruction. So I'm sure he's playing Sol Ring because, everybody should be and generally is. But, I mean, just look at the difference in speed between getting the artifact mana and not getting it. I draw first. I thought about impulsing during my upkeep in case I hit a Vampiric Tutor and that could vamp for what I wanted. Decided against. I would rather draw, see what I got, and make a decision from there. So I impulse main phase. So, very nice set of cards. I take the Wasteland because at this point, every turn that passes is not only to disrupt his mana, but to stall, because every turn that passes is another turn I get to draw an extra card with Isochron. And look at that. Another bad card. This card belongs in green decks that have tons of ramp, and that's about it. For everybody else, it's just too risky. It's too risky because of things like Wasteland and Stripline. So, Impulse again. No, the deck just serves it up. Okay, down comes Crucible. Opponent has no land and gives up, and that's it. Super fast to get strip lock, but I did draw. I did dig 10 cards deep over the course of 2 turns, and fortunately it was all there. But again, I just think if you're going to play Zur, you have a lot of reasons to play Acceleration, but if you're going to play this format at all, you really have got to load up on artifact mana. The only possible way to get around that is something like Edric. It can play a lot of creatures, little land wrap, and they still should play artifact mana. I mean, Sol Ring, Mana Crypt, etc. are just too good. So I hope you enjoyed those quick games, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Oh, before we go, the deck. Here's the deck list. Nothing about it has changed from the last video, so if you have been watching, you'll see that it's still the same and probably will remain that way for some time. We'll see what the next set brings, but I'm happy with it so far. And thanks again. Bye.